Oh, I'm humiliated.
So I've been playing Evil Zone. Hey, I'd like to rent a video game today.
Which one?
Final Fantasy IX.
Evil Zone it is, then.
No, Final Fantasy IX.
Evil Zone it is, then.
When I think back to the days of renting video games, I mostly remember just my shithead friends renting shit, as I had a chipped PS1 and got to play all video games for free. Still, a large part of the PS1's library was tainted with that rental game vibe, even for me. Shit like Hogs of War, Her Guys, Tecmo's Deception.
Your mom.
Games that were kinda well remembered, but not because of many people owning them. And one of the quintessential titles like that for me was Evil Zone, or Eretzvaju. This, as many people called it. Which made sense as well. The rental thing, not the name, as is one of those games that's pretty much made only to look cool so you can impress your friends, but really nothing else. A bit of a precursor to what most DBZ games would end up playing like, Evil Zone was quite mechanically bare. I mean, it was developed and produced by Yukes, the company currently responsible for shitting out WWE games that appeal to tentacles, and similar to pro wrestling's namesake, it was a game about parodying and tributing old anime. Parodying? Parodying. I don't know. Each character, of which there are 10, have their own anime intros, stories paired with epic narration, and overall vibes unique to them. Like Super Sentai Danzaiba, a superhero out to save his partner from the Evil Zone. Or Setsuna Saizuki, a schoolgirl possessed by another girl and therefore well edgy-like with edgy powers and edgy hair. And there's even my second favorite anime trope, the cool suit and tie wearing guy with the cards and or robes. Wowzers! And luckily, all of them play exactly the fucking same. Now, obviously, all characters have different moves and fighting styles, but the manner of interaction never changes. Essentially, EZ is a 2-button fighter, with triangle being the button to rule them all, doing different things depending on the direction pressed in tandem, how long it's pressed for, and a variety of contextual things. For example, to do a grab, you need to stand close by and press and hold down triangle, but the exact type of grab will depend on which angle you're coming at your opponent from, or what they're doing at the time. Like being able to grab them from midair while doing a giant swing or while charging. Charging, by the way, is more or less the game's main mechanic, and is done by holding down triangle while stationary. What it does is charge up a meter relative to your life bar, and once full, you'll get a wee pip that can be used to do specials. But, as I said, the amount of charge needed to pip a pip is dependent on the fullness of your life bar, meaning that you can theoretically do more damage once on lower health, and I like that. Shit incentivizes the increasing intensities while fighting that other fighters can only achieve through forcing you to play good, and I guess it's also like an actual mechanic just as well. Demanding some thought and use of tactics like deliberately taking hits to be able to do mad shit that you know how to do, because why wouldn't you? The game is base as fuck, boy. As stated, there's only 2 buttons. Everything I just went over is all triangular, as are the projectiles, the epic sword swipes, the crazy dashes, and whatever the fuck this Naruto-ass shit is supposed to be what you're seeing right now. The second button, however, square, lets you block, air cancel, and land on your feet after having been swooped up. Now, you might think, hey, that's pretty neat. Timing and stuff. But really, all you have to do is simply hold a brother down in advance. There isn't a whole lot of timing involved other than there being parries, but even those feel more luck-based rather than anything done deliberately. Though, I will admit that it's pretty fucking impressive how much they were able to do with a control scheme as simple as this. There's no combos or any real meta game that I could find, and yet I was still engaged, and it took a while for me to figure out why, but I think it's all down to how the game handles animation frames and contextuality in general. Setsuna Saizuki, age 14, Japan, 21, America. I wonder why. At first, I was like, fuck this plays like ass. I mean, the animations are so fucking lavish and over the top that pushing a button to do an attack is more like triggering a cutscene than getting hands-on with them hands. Nothing here is instantaneous. Even deflecting projectiles doesn't require actual timing or thought, and each character uses the exact same control scheme, thus playing the same on a surface level. I was ready to label this as the one true button masher. See, the thing was that I was trying to play this fighting game like a fighting game. Dodging when I felt I had to, trying to read my opponent's moves, being a bit more reserved and careful, and all that ended up making up for were horridly stiff, repetitive, samey, and boring battles, where all I could do in between getting stun-locked by cutscene was the odd slash or two, and maybe a grab here and there. Whereas, once I had decided to angrily spaz out on the D-pad as I mashed triangle, I suddenly began to summon fucking satellite lasers and gross baby xenomorph chest eaters and booby ninja clones and everything. It was fun. But I for sure felt like it didn't have any tact or skill behind it. Just a mindless button masher, cutscene triggerer, and nothing else. And while I wouldn't say that descriptor is entirely incorrect, I don't think that gets across the full picture properly. For one, the context in which you triangle matters a lot and can be learned. I gave some examples of this earlier, but literally anything from whether or not if your opponent is dashing or floating or charging or doing any manner of attack has an effect on which exact move you'll do. Which is when it hit me that the directions only signify move types rather than any move specifically. Back, for example, can mean heavy, forward means quick, none means regular, up means AoE-ish, and down means trap or grab. All of this goes for projectiles when distance and melee when close. Add to that the differences between holding those buttons down or simply tapping, as well as the amount of pips you can have, and you may begin to see how this can still give way to a decently large moveset. And for two, there are actual differences between how these people play, achieved only through how they animate. As I said, you essentially just trigger cutscenes or sequences as it were. That can range from long-winded but clearly telegraphed to over in a flash and hard to dodge. Oh, and there's also these trap-like things where a part of the ground will lit up indicating that shit'll go down there soon, thus forcing you to either cancel out of that somehow or to quickly escape the fuck zone. Both of which being things that you can do as well, but the extent of how well you can do that depends on who you're playing as. I mean, Sentai Man over here is kinda awkward to move about due to his stupid suit. So, running away isn't an option, and he also isn't exactly great for ranged shit either. Meaning that staying close is gonna be your go-to. Similarly, our Yakuza boy is quick and very range heavy, often relying on set traps to do damage, as he's not exactly great at fighting up close. Essentially, what I'm getting at with this is that this creates a type of Fire Emblem-esque rock-paper-scissors style of combat, only bad. Not like awful per se. The sole reason as to why I'm structuring this segment all epic build-up like is that I'm now going to reveal how much fun I actually had playing this, finding actual depth where there really is none, but it's still not really a fighter. Evil Zone is best viewed as its own thing, as competitively it's unbalanced as all cock. The main deriver of fun, instead, is making your way through the anime-influenced campaigns.
Ihadolka is a being capable of existing in multiple dimensions at one time, and she threatens the world of I Preseru, Happy Island.
Once upon a time, there was an evil lady who was evil, and so they trapped her in the evil zone. But then a tournament was held to see who would be more evil, so they could defeat the evil with more evil in the evil zone. Or, that's about as much as I could make of it at least. Really, if anything, it's all about the characters specifically rather than the plot overall. And all of your favorite tropes are represented here.
You got Guts, ESP Lolicon, who is like 1,000-year-old, you guys don't worry about it. Possessed edgy schoolgirl, a tomboyish strong chick with the hair and the tanned skin, cause for some reason tanned equals rowdy delinquent in Japan. Booby ninja, casual yakuza with cards but no rows. And also this weird rapey metalhead with psychopathic tendencies. And there's loads of cute little details that'll help sell these tropes as just that. Like how Danzaiba's helmet shatters during a fight, as it always does in helmet-based animes, or how Setsuna's hair is animated in exquisite detail to make it dramatically whip across her face to make edgy happen. And of course, there's also all of the individual show styles conveyed through title cards, narration, and logos and load screens. Sadly, I do feel that the anime-ness is held back by its PS1-ness a fair bit. There's some neat shots here for sure, but the animation is really stiff and the audio mixing is downright awful. And the title cards and narration are also only just that. There's no like fake ads or actual intro themes, which is kind of a missed opportunity in my book. Though, I will say that the narration in question is quite great. The voice acting is sus as fuck, don't get me wrong, but in that, it nails exactly what 90s anime dubs used to sound like. And it is also as much of a parody of anime as it is a tribute. I mean, these people are definitely tropes for the sake of it, so they're all 1D as fuck. The wincing little boy child, for example, be all like, "I must overcome my fear, for I am fearful." And then he murders like 10 dudes and be all like, "I see now, I hold the power of hope, and love, and friendship inside of me." Sure. But at the same time, during the narration and episode hooks for Keiya, he gets advice column style letters sent to him by the other characters, revealing how Wince Boy is insecure about his big booby girlfriend being taller and more maturer than he will ever be, which he gets made fun of by Keiya advising him to,
You should drink lots of milk. Drink a gallon a day.
Shit like that is cute as fuck. And there's many more wee banter-driven comedic interactions like that too. Though, at the same time, the character will be the joke in and of itself, thus making the fun of it run out fast, turning it into gratage. But for what it is, being like a 4-hour game, it is perfectly okay. Evil Zone is a mixed bag if I've ever seen one. It has fans, and I can see why, as I nearly felt myself becoming one, but on the other hand, it is a very simple game that's also not quite as all-out as it maybe should have been. Sure, at times it's hype as fuck and almost entirely fun to play as a result, whilst also doing some interesting thing on the mechanical front, but every bit of good that the gameplay offers is countered by quite some hefty bits of tepid mediocrity. Like how the vast difference in characters can make certain story runs hell to play depending on your tastes, and how the pompous nature of the attacks themselves with cancel inside at times can be pretty frustrating as well if one were to, say, press the wrong button at the wrong time or whatever. But overall, it is an interesting odyssey. If I was like a 90s child right now, I would totes be showing this to my 90s friends, which again was the intent here. Yukes had deliberately set out to create an entry-level fighting game for newcomers and kids. Though I'm honestly not too sure if they succeeded at that, as, to me at least, making a good introductory fighter would require a rock-solid and complex fighting game with great single-player content, like additional unlocks and the cool story mode. Kinda like what Dragon Ball FighterZ did recently, or a game like Soul Calibur 3 did in the past. Essentially, teaching you how to play the game just through making playing it ad nauseum a fun thing to do. You know, given that you aren't already a fighting games nut who'd play like that anyway. But a valiant attempt, that's for sure. Also, Keiya is best girl. Do not steal.